There are cities that rise and cities that fall. Some are brought down by the sword, others by the slow decay of their own indulgence. But there are a few, a cast few, that are erased by the heavens themselves. This is the story of Lot, a wanderer in a land of kings and chaos, a man torn between loyalty and survival, between faith and a city on the brink of ruin. My name is Kagwanza Eric. Welcome. In the vast lands of ancient Mesopotamia, two men stood at the crossroads of destiny. Abraham, a man of faith, and his nephew Lot, a man of ambition. Their journey together had begun in Ur, a prosperous city where their family had dwelt. But when Abraham received a divine call to leave his homeland and seek a promised land, Lot chose to follow him, stepping into a future unknown. Lot was a man of opportunity. Where there was fortune, he followed. Where there was prosperity, he set his tent. But the path of silver and stone is not always the path of righteousness. For years they traveled as nomads, their flocks multiplying, their wealth increasing, but prosperity brought its own challenges. A strife arose between their headsmen, the land unable to sustain both their growing fortunes. It was then that Abraham, wise and peace-loving, proposed a solution. "Let there be no quarrel between us," he said to Lot. "The land is before you. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If you go to the right, I will go to the left." Lot surveyed the land before him. To the west lay the rugged hills of Canaan, a land of promise yet untamed. But to the east the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley stretched like a paradise, where the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah flourished in wealth and indulgence. And so, Lot chose as men often do, not by the wisdom of the spirit but the allure of the eyes. Sodom, a city where pleasure ruled, where decadence roamed unchecked. It was a place that feasted while it rotted, that laughed while it burnt. A different world. Wine flows, music echoes through the streets, lavish feasts, extravagant halls, but beneath the surface, corruption, cruelty, shadows moving in the alleys. Lot chose wealth, he chose comfort, but the choice would soon demand a price. Time passed and Lot became deeply embedded in the life of Sodom. He was no longer a wandering headsman, but a man of status, seated at the city gates among its leaders. Yet, the city's corruption ran deep. The cries of the oppressed, the cruelty of its people, and their disregard for righteousness reached beyond the earth to the heavens themselves. One evening, two strangers arrived at the gates of Sodom. They were unlike ordinary travelers, their presence commanding an aura of the divine. Lot, sensing something beyond human in them, bowed and insisted they take refuge in his home. As night fell, the wickedness of the city revealed itself. A mob gathered outside Lot's house, demanding that the strangers be handed over to them for their depraved desires. Lot pleaded with them, but the men of Sodom were relentless. Then, in a moment of terrifying power, the strangers struck the mob with blindness, confusion seizing their senses. "Gather your family," the visitors told Lot. "Take them and leave this place, for its destruction is at hand." Morning had barely broken when Lot fled. His wife and daughters followed him close behind. The visitors' warning echoed in his mind, "Do not look back." As they reached the hills beyond the city, fire and brimstone rained the sky. Sodom and Gomorrah, once proud and prosperous, were consumed in a storm of divine wrath. The air was thick with smoke, the ground trembling as the cities crumbled in ruin. But Lot's wife, overcome by sorrow for the life she was leaving behind, disobeyed the command. She turned to gaze upon her home one last time. In that instant, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, her fate sealed in the very ashes of the city she had longed for. There are moments in history when the world holds its breath, waiting for the hand of judgment to fall. To look back upon the past with longing is to chain oneself to it forever. Lot pressed on with grief weighing heavy upon him. He sought a refuge in the mountains. His wealth, his status, and his past all burned beneath the ashes of Sodom. Meanwhile, Abraham stood on the heights of Hebron, watching the distant smoke rise. He had once pleaded for the salvation of Sodom, bargaining with the Almighty for the righteous within it, but there had been too few. Lot had chosen the path of wealth, of status, of security, and yet here he sat with nothing but dust on his hands. The story of Lot is not merely one of destruction, but of decisions. It is a testament to the weight of choices, to the perils of looking back when one is meant to move forward. My name is Kagwanza Eric. The Bible stories continue.